Have you ever had the problem where you're given instructions, be it from a friend or a coworker, but for whatever reason, they don't actually give you the address of where you're going, and otherwise the directions are fine, you're making your way there, no problem, but then you get to a neighborhood like this, and they said it's the one with the truck out front, and I mean, there's a truck there, there's a truck down the street, there's no truck in the driveway and whatnot, so which one is it? Also, all the houses look exactly the same. I can tell you they all are exactly the same. I used to live in this neighborhood. This place is just a little bit north in Columbia. And I was in this similar situation where when I was living here, one of my roommates and I, we found out a mutual friend also lived here and we wanted to go hang out with them. But we hadn't been to their place yet, so we didn't know which house it was. They gave us some instructions. Of course, they didn't give us the actual address. And lo and behold, we went to the wrong house. So what and why Mapeople? Well, Mapeople is a map-based media and communications platform with an overall goal of communicating location more easily. And a few examples of how we've attempted to accomplish this goal, for example, say the first problem I gave before. If we'd been using Mapeople with our friend, myself, my roommate, they could have just put a pin on where their house is, and with that, we could have just zoomed in the map because we know we're in the same neighborhood, and we'd see exactly which one it is rather than going to the wrong place. Another thing that you could do with Mapeople, say you're surfing the web, you found something really cool that you wanted to share with your friends, say a news article about something that happened near you or an event that's going to be occurring in your area, rather than just sharing with them, be like, hey, how cool is this? It's happening in our neighborhood near us. You could actually put it on the map and get a better sense of the locality of how close it is to where you guys are. As well, lastly, another example, say you're new to an area. You don't know anything about the place. You don't know which places are popular, which places are not popular. An easy way you could do that is just pull up a map of the area, and you could see just based on the density of the pins and where they're located and what people are saying, you can figure out which places you might want to explore and check out next. So next we're going to move on to what all we each did for this project.
I worked mostly on UI and authentication.
So I largely laid the foundations of the app. I kind of connected everything together. And I also created like the first pen, the basic pen, as well as the line and shape functionality.
I work on the groups management.
So I worked primarily on the text, the pull, and the meeting pins.
And I worked on location tracking, anything to do with the heat map. And we're going to leave the demo to the end because of time constraints. All right, so some of the issues you faced while developing our application was configuring different platforms at the same time. So we want our app to be able to work on both Android, iOS, and on the web. And configuring each of them takes a lot of time, and each presents different difficulties. So we wanted to find a way so that a solution so that we can configure all three at once and just be done with it one time. Another issue we faced was the idea of asynchronous code, which is when the computer has to handle a lot of different tasks at the same time. So if 500 people were using our applications and interacting with the map, it will have to be able to handle all 500 requests at the same time with great accuracy. And Will is going to talk about some of the technologies that help us solve these two issues.
So Mapeople is built with a few different technologies. It's built on top of Phonegap, which is something called a hybrid app platform. Effectively, Phonegap enables us to develop one app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which are traditionally web development technologies, and have it be available on web, Android, and iOS. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are we were all familiar with, so we thought Phonegap was a pretty good option. The Google Maps API is what we built all of our maps with. Google Maps API, Google Maps is largely an industry standard. We think that people use Google Maps a lot more frequently than they would other mapping options like Apple Maps or Bing Maps. Additionally, Google Maps API is very easy for us to learn, and it has a lot of the functionalities that people wanted, like drawing shapes on the map, dropping pens, etc. So we thought Google Maps API was a great solution. All of the user interface surrounding the map is developed using Materialize, which is a styling library for creating user interfaces. It adheres to certain design principles called material design. And so that actually helps us create a better more organized user experience. Mapeople's backend is developed using Firebase. Somebody before us used Firebase as well. Firebase is pretty awesome. It's cloud hosted, it's free to use, and it coordinates everything in real time. So that's how we were capable of handling all of this asynchronous actions. So you can drop a pin and it'll be available on everybody's device simultaneously as soon as they drop it. Firebase enables us to do that. Next slide. So this is kind of like our basic algorithm, like how Mapeople works. And it's actually very simple. Maybe it doesn't look simple from this diagram, but effectively Firebase holds the instructions of how our map is supposed to behave. Those instructions are interpreted by Mapeople in real time. And so effectively, as soon as you, for example, tap on a map here, that sends a signal back to Mapeople, which sends instructions to Firebase. As soon as any changes happen in Firebase, it gets sent to back here, and it's all the stuff which coordinates these actions is very simple. It's just like if there has been a basic pen added to the Firebase, then add a basic pen to Google Maps. This is actually very powerful, although it is simple because it's highly modular. It enables all of us to go in and add functionality sort of independently of one another. So we think this algorithm is a little simple, but we think it's really powerful.
Well, we thank you for your presentation.